Hey, hi everybody. We are live and we are here again with my lovely guest Dee, who is here today for our Barbados Explore trip, which is coming up in a few weeks. Guys, or should I say sisters, because this trip is a trip for sisters, where myself and Dee will be welcoming you to the shores of beautiful, sunny Barbados. And in actual fact, it will be Dee's first time in Barbados. So I'm really, really excited for her. Now, we've had lots of people saying they're really interested to learn more about Barbados. They can see the benefits of this trip. Definitely an opportunity to come and scout and explore Barbados, maybe as a place just for a vacation, but also maybe a place where you might decide could be your future, could be the place that you decide to spend 2, 3 months a year, or if like me, I spend 5 to 6 months each year in Barbados. And I am currently starting the process of becoming a resident through immigration. So, guys, I'm just like you. I'm not Barbadian. I do not have Barbadian heritage, but I love Barbados. Now, those of you who love Barbados, that's fantastic because you should be getting your dual citizenship. And if you haven't got it, guys, you need to make sure you get out there and get your dual citizenship. But this trip could well be something that ignites that passion for Barbados. And I am just so happy that we've had quite a lot of interest. And so what we thought we would do, we know that we've had people book, but we would like to give you some more information because the questions that people have been asking are very relevant. Okay, so I book, what next? So these are the questions that Dee has been asking me. And so today's live is really focusing on booking your flights wherever you are from, and also looking a little bit at accommodation as well. So we just want to steer you in that direction because these are the questions that you're asking and these are the questions that Dee has been asking as well. So, Dee, do you want to just introduce yourself in case it's the first time people have actually watched this live or even tuned into this channel and maybe they don't know what we are doing? I think everybody knows that on this channel.
Frozen. It may
Oh,
just
you're okay.
my side. Okay, it was on my side. Okay.
Oh, no, you're fine. On this channel, I'll just remind people on this platform, we talk all things Barbados. I help you to make the move to Barbados in a way that suits you, your needs, and your interests. And through that, I've been working with a lot of you in terms of the consultations that I've been giving you, some virtually, and now I'm meeting you in person. It's incredible how many people I'm meeting here in Barbados, and have a wonderful Facebook group which has people who are going to be coming to Barbados. Their plans to come to Barbados are imminent within the next year or two. And so that's a lovely group that we've created, a private group. And so, of course, with Dee, she is, like many of you out there, really looking at exploring the world. And that's one of the things I really love about your channel, Dee, you and your husband, H, is that you are actually taking the time to actually look at all the opportunities out there. And guys, there are so many opportunities out there. And I suppose the wonderful thing for us is that amongst all those amazing places, Dee has chosen Barbados as a place to come and scout out. So I'm going to let Dee introduce herself to you, for those of you who didn't meet her on the last live.
Hello, thank you so much, Jay. I am super excited. I could probably add my microphone, y'all. I did not realize. I normally don't go live at lunchtime, my time. So let me remember to do that. let's see. So I'm Dee from H&D Abroad. As Jay mentioned, my husband and I are moving abroad and are have not decided on a location. And I think that is actually a beautiful thing, because that means that we have a little bit of flexibility and a lot of openness to how a place could be a good fit for us. So we have our list of criteria. But what I have learned in this process is that not just intentional scouting trips could be a way for me to kind of try on a country, the feel, the vibe, the cost of living, the people. But traveling to meet people that I have grown to know and respect a lot, like Jay, also gives me new opportunities for places that I had not considered. As I have mentioned on my channel and on yours, Jay, islands were off my list. I thought it was too much, too far, too small. And Jay's content has really told me that community can look different, but there's a place for a lot of folk on the island of Barbados. What I mean by a lot of people is it's a welcoming, friendly culture, and that there's a way for me to be there without even having to get a residency visa. So, like, the more that I learn about Barbados, I feel like it could be a place we could add to our list, like you mentioned, for 2 months or 3 months out of the year, where we want to center just greenery and a slower pace of life that I feel like is probably going to be different from a lot of the places that we have visited, scouted, that also have a slower pace of life. Because I really believe island time is a thing. I believe that that the experience of the sound of the ocean, being able to have access to the beach, is a part of my mental well-being that I'm probably going to want to have at least a portion of the year, because I don't think I know that living the beach life, like on land, is probably not my center, but island life at a particular time of year could really fit. So travel is now how I'm experiencing the world and saying, could I spend a little bit more time
Yeah.
here?
I think what you said there, Dee, was really, really important. There's so much of the world out there to explore, and one of the great things about a lot of these countries is they're all very seasonal. One of the things that really I didn't enjoy as much in terms of the UK, which is where I'm from, is how the seasons kind of became one season, and we weren't having the summer months that we used to get years ago. And one of the great things that I love about here is you do get, okay, the rainy season, the dry season. But what is great is you can take 2 months, 3 months of the year away from the winter. So for me, I can take that the coldest part of being in the UK, which I would say is January, February, well, probably December, January, February, and come to Barbados. Because at that time here in Barbados, it's not the hottest time of the year, but it's hot enough for me, someone who's used to being in a colder climate. And I think that's the beauty, really, of learning about more countries, finding out when is the best time to visit those places so that you get the best of the country and in turn get the best from yourselves as well. And so I think this is why, one of the reasons why, whoops, I don't know, you've kind of gone off. Sorry about this, guys. Oh, we're back. although this trip is in April, there is a reason for it, guys. It's because we wanted you to come just after the high season, in a way that you would be able to benefit from some of the slightly cheaper prices, because the winter season is high season. But you will be coming after the 14th of April, which is generally when the prices start to go down, because May is really the low season. So that was one of the reasons. The weather is, one of the issues that we're often faced with. A lot of people don't want to come to a place when it's really, really, really hot if they're not used to it. So April is a really good time to come. It's still the dry season. And of course, we have the Reggae Festival, which is an amazing, spectacular event, annual event. And it's something that I would thoroughly recommend. There's going to be some amazing artists here on the island. So there's just so many things happening that week, that I think it was, a wonderful opportunity for you all. So really, I think that was one of the reasons why I think Dee was interested in coming at that time as well. If you're unsure about coming to an island where it could be hot, it's a good time to come. Anyway, before we jump into the next thing, I just want to say welcome to everybody out there in the chat, because we've had a lot of people here. Oh, that's lovely. Nani Kowsey. Greetings, Jay. You are my Shira. Oh, thank you so much. And Tamsin, she is here. Oh, there was sleet in London, so she's ready to be in BIM. I know exactly what you're talking about, Tamsin. Yes. Amanda Harriet, she's cold in Devon, but no sleet. Jennifer J says, hello, ladies. Farida's beautiful live. April seems a sensible month, and Farida's already booked, so we're really excited about that. We're going to be meeting Farida. Excellent. And Tamsin says her and her children are going to be there late March to early April. Okay, so you'll have to give a shout out, and we'll see if we can catch up. So thank you everybody again for being here. So let's hand over to Dee, because Dee, you have been doing some research on flights, which is really, really, really helpful.
Noni's question. So I can share when I'm going to be there, when Jay is welcoming myself and the Sistahs meetup in Barbados is April 22nd to the 29th. And so in the description of this video is the link to Expat Barbados, the meetup link. And so that is how you can book to be a part of the full experience, where we'll do some visits. Jay will talk a little bit more about the schedule. But the trip is, like she mentioned, it's right after Easter. I was very surprised and encouraged by the local accommodation prices. So if this is the entering into the lower season, I'm very happy. And Jay's going to share accommodations too. But so because we were talking about this, I was mentioning that identifying the flights and maybe some tips that I've learned. I'm new to international travel, like new. Like 2022 was the first time I took an international flight. So I'm pretty new, but I watch a lot of YouTube, and the more, like you've heard, the more you know, the more you can put into practice, and then you can find things that really work with you and your schedule. So we are just shy of a month out, but I still think you can do a good job in choosing your flight. So here are some tips. We've also put a couple of videos that might also be helpful in the chat. And I'm going to you'll hear me mention some of those, and they have many others. But one of the things that I always watch is I start with, I like to leave from my city. It's convenient. I don't have to worry about getting somewhere else before I have my departure. But I live in a small city. And so because I don't live in a major city, I know the price of my flight is going to be could be more expensive. So when I'm looking for flights, I look in my city because there could be that. If it's not going to be much more expensive, for me, I'm looking at USD. If it's going to be $100 or less, it's not worth it. Just pay it. It's the convenience charge. But if you could save a few $100 or get a more direct flight where you're not having 2 legs or 3 legs of your trip, then try looking at a major airport that might be in a closer radius. So we have 2 major airports near me. One is about an hour and a half south, and the other is about an hour and a half north. Atlanta is about 4 hours, 4.5 hours for me. That's kind of at a last resort. So if looking at those cities, you really don't see much difference between where you want to go during the dates that you want to be on site, then the next level is definitely, could I take a regional airline to either one of those major cities or to a city that regional airlines, at least in the US, and I've flown nominally in Europe, they tend to be some pretty cheaper flights. And so you might be able to get a better rate for just going a little bit of distance, but the price could be more in budget. So that's some of the logistics. I'll mention some of the websites that you can try some of these tactics on toward the end. But what I also learned about was the day of the week that I am booking my flight matters. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't matter what day of the week you're going to fly out. The prices, it's like they know you're at home surfing the web. And so the prices can tend to be higher. And I know that because I've set up reminders on some of the websites that I'm going to mention later, because I can see the price fluctuate. So I'll see the price that I've been tracking go up, for 2 or 3 days. And then by Monday or Tuesday, they come back down. And I was like, nothing else has changed. So having those reminders set, you can kind of begin to see some of those trends. And then the other thing about timing is the day of the week that you travel. So the meetup events, we've set the 22nd Tuesday as a day for you to just fly in. There's nothing planned on Tuesday. That's completely built in as a travel day. So traveling on Tuesdays and Wednesdays can actually be a better day of the week to travel. Fridays and Saturdays tend to be a little bit more expensive because I know hotels want you to have a Saturday night stay. I don't know, maybe the airlines do as well, but that's another timing piece. So I try to travel Tuesday, Wednesday, probably no later than Thursday in a week. And then the other thing about timing is it's not always helpful to book 6 months or earlier. you can probably get some really good deals right around the 3 months to about 6 weeks before. So this is probably a good time to be looking, since we're about 5 weeks out from the meetup, to just find to begin to look. Today's Thursday. I'd go ahead and maybe set up some tickers to say, hey, I want to arrive in Barbados on the Tuesday the 22nd or Wednesday the 23rd, and see if they're, what's available. We have set to Tuesday the 29th is the day that you can leave. You are welcome to leave whenever you want to. I mean, there's lots of free time. Y'all gonna have to put me back on the plane. Like, I love the ocean. So, but Tuesday or Wednesday flight home, you might leave it a little bit of flexible to accommodate a lower cost flight, especially since the prices tend to be a little bit lower on the Airbnbs I've been looking at. So I found some that are in a good price range for the trip, and I wouldn't mind adding a day or two. So let's see. So I've talked about timing, when to look, where to look, what days to avoid, and then the timing of your flights in and out. We've talked about location as far as, can you leave from your departure city, or maybe finding, if you've got a major hub, airport that may have more frequent flights. Those flights can tend to be a little bit less expensive. In the States, what I have found, and this is not just because I live in a smaller city, but I'm helping a friend that's looking at coming from Houston, Texas, which is a pretty large city. They've got a major airport there, but she was seeing that there were more legs to her trip if she flew out of her home city. But if she got on a regional flight and went to Dallas, there were more quote unquote direct flights. So she would leave Houston, go to Dallas, and then she would go to from Dallas to Atlanta and Barbados, which gave her she's got more choices. She could arrive earlier because this flight isn't trying to connect with other flights that are getting in. Not just to Barbados, but to those connections later in the day. So, those are some of the things. I'll pause, because if you've got tips and tricks, I've got a few more to add. But Jay, did you have some? Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking in the chat, and Farida is saying kayak and Google Flights are also great sites to track fares as well.
Yes.
So
Sky Scanner, Moda, Google Flights, Kayak. What you do is you can set up, you can set your flight dates. You can tell it if you want, if you have flexibility of your dates, and then it will just push flights. Available flights to you. I've set them up on several, the flights on several of these platforms. And guess what? You don't get the same flights on all of them. Some of them have several, what do you call that? They have several, the same flight is offered on all of them, but some of them, that's not always the case. And I was able to find pull a cheaper flight that way. Sometimes there is, let's see, we use this quote unquote trick when we did we did multiple countries in December, but booking a one way and then booking another one way. Yeah. Y'all gonna get me fired. Oh no. I'm telling you.
I know. I had to put that one up. Yes, Farida.
I was going to say the reason why I think this is also another good time is if you were thinking, some of us get Easter Friday or Easter Monday off. And so you could tack on a little bit of extra. I should definitely be talking about PTO hacks for adding more time to your travel where you're not depleting your PTO. It's like I'm leveraging some PTO, some regular, and then some paid holidays with work so I don't have to take off so much time. But yeah, it is very addictive. Oh, okay. So Jace Airlines must be, is that in the UK?
I've not heard of that one, but she said
Okay.
Jace Airlines provide accommodation for travellers with disabilities.
Yes.
Do contact them as they may be able to offer you additional weight at no charge to allow for mobility aids. That's fantastic.
That is
Thank
a
you
very good.
very
Yes.
much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tam.
Making
At
sure.
Jace Airlines.
Excellent. Excellent. Make sure you all tell us where Jace Airlines is because I'm going to look it up after we're done today. But asking for those accommodations, uh, mobility issues aren't just for people who are older. For some of us that need a little bit of extra help. I was mentioning that to someone in Exodus Summit today. I was like, book it if it's available. Get the little cart that will take you directly to your gate. Whatever assistance you need, make sure you are asking for it during the reservation, making sure that those accommodation requests, and then you may want to call the airlines to make sure that if there are some others that you had not considered, because I always wondered, people have the fold up carts that they use in the airport. Does that account against their checked bags? That might be a good question to ask. Oh, okay.
Well, Tamsin's just explaining that she receives mobility assistance from TUI Airlines,
Yes.
and I know that that's one that a lot of people get from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I would definitely recommend take advantage of all the mobility assistance to get you through the airport.
Absolutely.
I would definitely do that. And just to know that when you come to Barbados, you actually land on the tarmac and you do have to walk down the stairs. And obviously, if you're carrying your hand luggage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do require mobility assistance, they have a special lift that takes you down. So make sure you book that if that is what you need, because otherwise you will be walking down the stairs with your hand luggage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is something just to bear that in mind, because that's often a surprise to people the first time coming to Barbados, because you don't see that all the time. You walk out and you're there with blue sky, sun, and you've got to walk down the stairs, which is beautiful, but not good if you have problems with knees or anything like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's I've actually been just telling people about the actual videos. These are YouTube videos that Dee has recommended. You won't find the link there, but I've given you the full name. Just put the name in and they will pop up, because both of those channels are big channels.
Yes.
Right. So they will pick them up immediately. And if you were to go on there, we think rather than us talking through what we've learned from other channels, it's best for you to go directly to the source. And these are great sources because they specialize in that kind of information. So it's worth checking out the videos. They're not very long, but they give you the information that will just help you to get the best deals that you can possibly get. And the key really is to start now, and it's to make sure that you have the alerts. And the alerts are the key to getting the reductions. Okay. and sometimes as much as half price. So it really is worth pursuing.
I was going to say, when I was looking for videos that talked about discount, let's see, I think I was looking up trip, let's see, something, the combination was like Barbados airline, um, cheap airline tickets, or something in that combination, and TUI came up. I was hoping someone had mentioned it, because the direct flight, and this was a couple of years ago, that direct flight from the UK was pretty, it was almost half of what I paid coming from the US. So that the discount airlines, I'm all for it. If you can find a good deal that meets your, not just your budget, but the time frame that you need to travel, being on the lookout for that. And a lot of these airline tracking do include those discount airlines as well. I think two other things I wanted to mention as you are searching for flights. So everybody knows that on the internet, every single website wants to collect cookies. Those are like little bits of information about you, your where you have been on the internet, and not just on their page. And so they collect those little bits of information. And if you don't wipe that history, sometimes your price increases because they know that you are interested. It's kind of like walking into a house that you want to buy and just gushing over it, and people kind of recalculating how much they can offer that item for, because you love it. And so we want to kind of keep it neutral. So I think two ways that I used that is you can actually clear your history. So it's going to clear. I would clear as far back as it will allow, months, if you need to. Clear that history and then search. But you can also search in a mode that is, I believe it's just specific to the main one, the Google, I'll say it. You can search in incognito mode.
That's what I
Which
do.
is going to give you more of the privacy when you are going out to check flights. But make sure that you are cleaning your history between them. And I think the last big tip, I guess I can share, is this past time that we traveled, December through January, I got a VPN. And the VPN gives me the opportunity, because I was like, there's no way this trip cost this much. I was in Colombia at the time, looking at trips from my home city to Barbados, and the price was completely different. And I said, oh, if it's that much, I'll just book it when I get home. No. So use that VPN that will allow you to be able to say that you're in a different place. Will these give you a huge discount? Will they make a difference? I say try it. You can get a 1 month subscription to, when there are a lot of VPNs. I don't know if you have affiliate, what do you call that, links where you have that, but there are some reputable VPNs out there that allow you to choose an IP address for a different location. So if you add that plus the incognito mode, you might be able to get a few dollars off, maybe a few $100s off, depending on what's available.
Thank you. That's been really, really helpful, guys. I hope you really, I think the tips that you've just given there, Dee, have been really interesting, especially about the VP. What's it? I need to get one of
VPN,
those.
yeah, the
Yeah, people have
VPN.
been talking about that. It's actually very helpful when you come to live in another country as well, to actually have that, so you can access TV programs and
Mhm.
so on. So yeah, definitely. So so you wouldn't be just using it for that. It has lots of multitude of uses and reasons for buying something like that, which would make it worthwhile. Now, I'm just going to quickly go into this. Is a really
Mhm.
great question from Jennifer. She said, she meant, is the trip okay for disabled people because of the terrain? Will there be a lot of walking? Now, I will say to you, and Beige Boy, here he is. He has just said he knows there is a lift for persons with disabilities landing in Barbados. So it's not to say
Mhm.
that you can't come to Barbados if you have a disability. But I think what you're saying is, will there be a lot of walking? Now, one of the great things about this island is it's one of the flatter islands. It's
Mhm.
not like going to some of the islands where they have lots of very steep terrain.
Mhm.
The great thing about Barbados is it's one of the flatter islands. Yes, it does have the inlands where it does have more hills, but it's a sort of place that you can get around quite easily. Now, you'd have to give us, maybe talk to us after this, specifically about your disability in terms of the terrain. But what we know is there will be opportunities to walk. A lot of the walking that I will be giving people opportunities to walk with me will be walking along beaches and around those areas where it is flatter, because I'm thinking that a lot of people coming, that will be an easier option for them. It will only be if some people said, I'd like to walk where it's a little bit steeper, then there are places where I know we can do that. But a lot of the walking in Barbados, particularly because most of the places people want to go to in the tourist areas tend to be on the coastal areas, and it's a lot flatter there. The thing that you often find in a lot of places is that the actual terrain, I would say, is that you would need to wear, I would say, good, strong footwear if you are
Mhm.
going on a walk. It's not something that I would recommend wearing flip-flops when you're going on a walk, because there's a lot of, in certain areas it could be rubble or it could be sand, so it could get slippy. But
Mhm.
the roads are fine. Yes, people generally talk about the fact that you get potholes. You'll get potholes in those in most places today. Even in England, we have potholes. But generally on the island, there are places where there will be potholes. But
Mhm.
generally, as I said, the coastal areas where most of the tourists, where most of the time we're going to be, they've actually worked on those roads and they're fine, particularly for driving. Now, for walking, they don't always have big sideways. They don't, pavements, should I say.
Mhm.
Side,
Sidewalks. Mhm.
they don't always have a big sort of pavement on which to walk. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
very narrow, or sometimes you are literally walking on the edge.
Mhm.
But whenever I do walking by myself, we go early, very early, and we go to places where we're not getting a lot of traffic. So that is why it's important to know when to walk. And you wouldn't be walking in the middle of the day. Number one, it would be very hot. There'd be a lot of traffic. So that's why I'm very specific in terms of where I would be taking people to walk.
Mhm.
So in that respect, there will be walks if you so choose to come on those walks, but you don't have to. The beauty of this whole trip is that there will be things that are included in the trip, which are the main sort of drivers, as we've said. The opportunity to meet up with other
Mhm.
sisters is really the main driver. And that will be around some of these amazing trips where we'll be going over to Bathsheba. Even when we go over to Bathsheba, we will be going by, we'll have transport. That will be part of the organised tour.
Mhm.
So again, when we get off at Bathsheba, that does have a hill, and that is a much steeper terrain. Again, you're going to get back into we'll get out at certain vantage points. You'll get out, you'll have a look, and then you'll walk and you'll get back onto the actual bus. So you won't be expected on the organized tours to have to walk any further than you want to, because there will be transport provided, which is generally like a minibus. And that's what people do. So they'll get off, view, do what they want to do, and then come back into the van. So again, I wouldn't say that would put me off. But again, it really just depends on what you feel you can do. So if you want to contact us after the live, send me an email. I've got my email, which I'll be sharing with you at the end. Then we can talk about that in much more detail. But I would say that in terms of coming to Barbados, there's so many options with transport. You've got the electric buses, you've got the ZR buses. It's all about where you are located with the accommodation, which is why I'm going to talk a little bit about accommodations and where I would encourage you to look for accommodation to make it easier so that you're not having to find lots of transport. So those of you who can walk, and those of you who want to get the bus can get the bus, which is much more affordable, or you can get a taxi, but taxis, bearing in mind, taxis are more expensive. But if you're on the island with a group of other women, you can get together, 3 or 4 of you in a taxi, then split the price. It makes a big difference. Okay. Someone says, Tamsin says, you've not seen a real pothole. So Jennifer, I hope that kind of just gives you a bit of idea. We'd love to see you on the trip, definitely. And as I said to you before, it's certainly an island that you could come to, because it's not a very, very steep island. So yeah, you'd be fine. Okay. Shireen says,
she said, "Go Duck Go." I have not used Go Duck Go before. I've I've heard the advertisements, but I have not used it. So that's another flight. Where you can probably set up to have it tell you not just what's currently available, but to let you know if the price is changing. So sometimes the price is going up, sometimes the price goes down, but having more of those and these are not paid. These are if they have a paid version, they have a free version if I'm using it. So I'm not trying to get you to sign up for a bunch of services, but I am encouraging you to use the free resources that'll give you the best opportunity to find not only the price at the best, not just the best price, but also that doesn't have super long layovers. That was one question for my friend that's in Houston. She was like, "This is a 12-hour trip." And she sent me the screenshot and I was like, "What?" So I was like, but if you leave out of, another major city in your state, you could reduce that flight time by 5 hours or more.
wow.
So just using some of those, like we said, the flexible days and the different departure locations could definitely be helpful. It lets you line up. This was not supposed to be a flight only video, but what I like is it will take the kind of some dates before and some dates after what you set as your departure date. And then it's kind of in a grid. So departure dates, arrival dates, I'm sorry, and departure dates. And then you can, kind of look at, okay, I want to pay this price. Show me the flights that are happening, based on this price. Sometimes the lowest price isn't always. It may have, that may have 2 legs to your trip. It may have 3 legs to your trip. And so you have to decide, is that worth it? But don't wait, y'all. I mean, the flight, this is why we have this is why I have certain buckets of money. I put a little bit aside every month so that when I want to take a trip, I have a budget in mind for how much I want to spend on a flight, and then I can, because this is probably the most that I've paid for a single trip before. But when Jay said yes, I was like, my budget says yes, we're gonna make this happen. And so I'm kind of a budget traveler. Ooh, Copa.
Yeah.
Oh,
Copa Airlines.
If you've got extra time, Copa always goes through Panama City, and they have, it's one of the stopover airlines.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think about that. Oh, now I'm really disappointed I didn't fly Copa, because there's a friend that I want to visit in Panama City, and I should have. Oh,
That
now
is
I've got a little bit of buyer's regret. But the stopover programs are really great. You can stay up to an extra 2 weeks, I believe, a week to 2 weeks with many stopover programs. And so you can combine 2 trips in one.
Yeah.
For no extra cost.
That's fantastic. That is for no extra cost.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's so many extra summit people over in Panama, aren't they? Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't think about
those
that.
of you who are in Exodus Summit.
That means I've got to go back to Barbados and do it right.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put in, Shireen says, she said, it's a search like Google, but you can look for flights and it keeps your info private.
Okay.
It does not collect cookies.
Yeah. So that's go.go. Go.go. Thank you. Thank you for those extra tips on why that it could be helpful. Oh, that's
that nice. I think would be very helpful, guys. Go.go seems to be advised because it doesn't collect your information. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we move on then to, oh, hi, Dr. Linda's there. Yeah, hi. It's so lovely to see everybody and to see that you're interested. And I know we've got some brothers here online, which is great because we love their support as well, because these are people who are knowledgeable about Barbados and they're offering their information. So thank you, guys. Yeah, really, really appreciate it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about accommodation and also about the fact that, yes, this whole trip is 7 days, but like Dee says, you could come before, you could come before the 7 days and you could stay after. You could make it into 2 weeks if you actually have the time. Mm-hmm. But we don't want you to lose your job. So yeah, like Farida said. But yeah, so just consider that as well. Because it is Easter and that's the reason why the trip starts on the Tuesday, to make it easier for you to be traveling the day after the Easter Monday. So hopefully, again, that will make it easy with the prices. Mm-hmm. Certainly, when I've been talking to people looking at taxis and car hire, they say their prices, well, not the taxis, but the car hire prices go down from the 14th of April because this is high season now, from about December. up to, I think he said, about the 14th of April. So now when we start to look at accommodation, I would definitely recommend looking at Airbnb. But I would say to you, it's all dependent on what you want to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to recognize that when you come to Barbados, it can be very expensive. So if you look at the hotels, you will see some very, very high prices because people are coming for their luxury holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, our holiday will be luxury in terms of the people that we're going to meet and the experiences that we're going to have. But it doesn't have to be in terms of the price. And that's why we're trying to give you this kind of information, because we want to let you know that we know Barbados isn't the cheapest island, but we know it's possible to come and it's possible to have a fantastic time. So look at Airbnb. Now, I've been looking and I have seen that there are 1-bedroom apartments, 1-bedroom, sometimes actually 2 bedrooms still have the same price. But I was looking at apartments, 1-bedroom apartments, and they were ranging from 65 US dollars upwards.
Mm-hmm.
So 65, 70, 85, 90, that kind of price. That's where I would say they would start.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go up and up and up and up. Now, obviously, because you're coming by yourself, that's why I was looking at those kind of apartments and say, what I would suggest is to look for places that are close to, the buses,
Mm-hmm.
transport. And so what I've said is because are you still going to do this, Dee? Are you going to still have the first few days in Speightstown and this?
I've already booked my Airbnb
Right.
in Speightstown. I'm super excited. What I
Yes.
liked is you kind of made sure that I knew to look for the bus route. So that's what I looked for with the reviews from other people, because there were 2 things. I wanted to find out how close I could get to the beach. So people will give, it's a 5-minute walk, it's a 10-minute walk to the beach. I was looking at, in addition to the price, and then other things that are important to me, but also how far was it to the to like the buses that you said were less expensive. So I feel like I chose Speightstown. It was a strategy. So it's a vacation, but I told y'all I want to see the real Barbados. And that's why Speightstown was the focus of the beginning of of this trip. I want to feel like a local. I feel like a local when I'm not in a hotel, when I'm actually in a neighborhood, when I can actually go to the grocery store. So a lot of the listings have what markets are nearby, what food vendors are nearby, because I might want a late afternoon or late evening snack.
Exactly.
And I plan to go to the beach, walk the beach in the morning, and then in the afternoon. And then when you take us to to Bridgetown, there are other experiences that I wanted to be I feel like I'm going to say it wrong. Oystins?
No, that's oysters. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be within walking. There's certain things I wanted to be within walking distance of, but transportation is a huge piece that I can control my budget a little bit better by having access to a regular bus route. So
that's why I would say to you, it's really, really important to look for accommodation that is very close to the bus route, and that is because it's only it's $3.50 Bajan dollars to get on a bus to any part of the island. It doesn't matter how far you go. One trip is $3.50. And obviously the return trip is another $3.50. So for me, the buses definitely, and for lots of tourists now, more and more people are using the buses because they want to save their pennies so they can stay in Barbados longer. And you'll find that people, once they get to know Barbados, first time they'll come, they'll stay in the hotels, and then they'll realize, wow, I can do this a lot cheaper and I can stay longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reason why people start to look at Airbnbs. But you've got to be very careful when you're booking Airbnbs to look at the reviews.
Oh, yes.
It really, really is important to look at the reviews, because sometimes, as I've said to subscribers and viewers on this channel, that sometimes those photographs that they're showing can be very old, and that place might not look like that anymore because of wear and tear and the rest of it. And I think it's worth noting that a lot of the time I'm always looking at reviews. People say they note that sometimes the accommodation is a little bit older. It's not been updated. So my main thing is you want somewhere that is clean, that is accessible, is safe. Those are the important things, and Wi-Fi, because I'm sure you'll all want to have access to Wi-Fi. So I think those are the things to be really careful of. Make sure that you put those down as priorities. When you go into Airbnb, and I'm sure we've all done it. If you've not done it before, I have a video that shows you how to do that. I would recommend, obviously, to put in Speightstown, because one of the things that I've talked to Dee about was that you could spend maybe, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Speightstown, and Friday you could then leave and go and spend the last 4 days on the south of the island, so that you then get a taste of Bridgetown, which is the capital, and you get a taste of the south side, which is much busier, has more tourists. And I think it would be great for you to actually see the contrast between the two. And I'm sure you'll enjoy both. They're both fantastic for different reasons, Yeah. But all along those coastlines, the sea is beautiful. So it's often a little bit more rough around the southern part, but you'll always be able to find a beautiful beach still to go to swim. And also because, if you remember, the Friday night is the reggae festival, and the reggae festival is on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think it's on the 3. I'm not sure if it's on Monday, but I think it's the 3 nights. And it takes place this year at the National Botanical Gardens, which is it's not far from Bridgetown. So it will make it easier if you want to go to that particular event, that you are also change your location over to the south. So I always encourage people, if they come to Barbados, if it's possible, spend a few days here and a few days there, and you will really get to feel, you'll feel that when you've left, you've got a deeper insight into the island. It's going to be very tricky to see everything in 7 days, but remember that the actual included trip, which will be a tour of the island, will take you all around the island, and also the actual meetup that we actually have for the people who are on the actual trip, which will be our first, where we're going to go to the actual Andromeda, which is another botanic garden. So don't get the two mixed up. Andromeda is on in St. Joseph, and that's on the east coast. So by the end of the 7 days, you will have had a pretty good look at, I would say, 3/4 of the island. We won't have spent a lot of time in St. Philip. That will have to be for another time, and probably St. George. But you will have had an opportunity to really see the southern coast, the west coast, and the east coast. And if you want to, because remember, you're going to have your own time.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, say, I've got family in St. Philip, I want to go over and see my family, or you might say, I've got family in St. Lucie, I'm going to go over to see them in St. Lucie, or there's certain things that you've got on your list that you want to see, certain trips, then that's something that you can actually look at booking as well for yourself. And remember, you're going to be there with others, so you could decide to get together. Because I remember you were saying, Dee, when you went to, was it Morocco,
Mm-hmm.
Exodus,
Yes.
that you got together with a group of women, didn't you? And
We did. We got henna. You know, several of us said we want to get henna, so we coordinated that trip between those who said that they were interested in that, and that was built in intentionally. That extra time, you can do something, or you can do absolutely nothing. This could be your I sit by the beach today. I go to, I believe sometimes the resorts give you can purchase a day pass. So that you can have, the pool time and access, walking access to the beach. So, I mean, there are lots of ways that you can create the kind of experience. If you want a super luxury experience, you deserve that.
Yeah.
You deserve that.
Yeah.
If you want to, kind of have a mix of that. I love that you are helping people to see that there's more than one way to experience a place safely, and to have a quality experience.
Yeah. I think another thing that I would say is when you are booking your accommodations, you can use the filter buttons.
Yes.
When you use the filter buttons, that's good because it allows you to actually say if you want air conditioning. So, because I think most people will want air conditioning. So,
Yes.
just be aware that generally,
you'll see the fans in the picture, y'all. You will see the fan. Make sure you're also seeing the mini split.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that in the States we have, oh goodness, I can't, like, the heating and air is a part of the system, but I think what I saw were mini splits.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, Jay.
You've got the actual, you can see the actual, well, I've got one up there actually. Yeah. And so it's not like where you get the central air.
Right, central air.
Mm-hmm. It's not central air. So you just have to be aware of the fact that generally they tend to have the AC in the bedrooms and not necessarily in the sort of lounge areas, because what they would do is probably rely on the ceiling fans.
Yes.
Or opening up the windows for the breeze.
Yes.
So just be aware of that factor. So, you look for those. That's why the filter's good, because it reminds you of the things that you maybe want, and that will then allow you to make a decision about the pricing. Because you might say, well, I'm not really too fussed about that, so I don't mind that, and you can take that off. Me personally, I do like to have AC in the bedroom. Because remember, most of the time you're not going to be sat inside that house.
Exactly.
Most of the time you're going to be out. It's mainly you're going to need that place to sleep. And I think that's what you have to kind of understand, that this is going to be a trip where it's going to be more about the experience. It's going to be more about getting out and about and meeting people and connecting with people. It's not going to be about staying in the hotel, hotel reception area or the hotel room, because you've got such a luxurious room. You want to really, enjoy that. No, yours it's all about having somewhere that is clean, that is safe, that is comfortable, where you feel you can access the shops around you. And, you know, if you want something to eat. Now, somebody had a really, really good question about the budget, which I'll talk about that a little bit about for food. Thanks ever so much for this, Beige Bar. He's just said, Jay, if it isn't on the list, add Bay Lounge when you guys are on the East Coast, because it's got great views, food, and chilled vibe.
I've added it to my list.
Yeah. Tell me where that one is, because I usually, when I go up onto, when I'm at, Bathsheba, I go to Sea View. I love Sea View. But yeah, tell me a little bit where that place is. Obviously, I can look it up as well. But so thanks ever so much, because that's a great one. And I love Scotland View Bar as well. That's another place which is lovely, high up, and oh my gosh, the breeze and the view is fantastic. So yes, thanks ever so much. And if anybody else has got any recommendations, please let us know.
Do you mind if I say hi to Beige and Alpha 4 and to Lori Butler?
Yes.
Those are my friends.
I recognize the names
today, and I was like, "Y'all, come on in, come on in. We need to get together. I need to finally. This trip means I get to finally meet folks that I have befriended over the last year or two. They're a part of the Exodus Summit community. You're part of the YouTube creator community that I'm a part of. A lot of the women's groups that I'm a part of. And I cannot tell you how my life has been transformed by travel. I am an introvert. I probably don't sound like one, but it is easier for me to hermit away with a good book and a beautiful glass of wine. Apparently that's going to change to rum punch when I'm on the island. But this travel has made me make some space, more space in my life for connecting with people that are centering the things that are similar to me. And I'm so grateful that you said yes for us to finally meet after, 2.5 years together. And that why this makes a difference to me is that Jay can tell me where will I be safe, how to look at the areas around safety. Where's the good food? I'm plant-based. Like, I don't want to be fighting for my protein life because I don't eat fish and seafood. Like, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
But having her to be my guide is really why this trip, and why I was like, do you mind if we invite a few friends to participate? Is maybe some other people. Being over 50, we were thinking about making friends on the playground in elementary school. These are spaces for us to create friendships and try new things together. It gives us a little bit of confidence. It gives us a whole lot of opportunity for laughter and support, and to learn something more about yourself and to really appreciate a space. I feel like I appreciate a space. I can appreciate a space more in community. It's the extra detail and color that I think a good trip can offer. I am not an extrovert, so I'm not going to be encroaching on other people's spaces. This is an extrovert space. This is an introvert space as well, but it is 100% a female space for April 22nd to April 29th.
Exactly. It really is. This is just so lovely how people are just sharing their ideas. Beige
Mhm.
Boy is I'm telling you, is really helping. He said it's in St Andrews, right? And St
Okay.
Andrew. It's high up in the hills and overlooks the east coast. Wow, right? I'm going to check that one out. Definitely, I'm going to check that one out. Thanks ever so much. That's absolutely wonderful. Farida of Farida's Beautiful Life. That's lovely. I'm an introvert too, so it's great to have built-in friends on this trip. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's the whole purpose of the trip, that we'll come together as sisters. And, we hope that from this, we'll become friends, lifelong friends. And it could be from this, groups of people may want to go off and do other things after this, because this is
Mhm.
just a start, really.
Yeah.
So much that, we can do as sisters together and supporting each other. So I really, really appreciate people taking the time, because I know it's in the middle of the day for many of you, and taking the time to come to the live. Now, someone says, so this is Tamsin. She said, what
Mhm.
budget roughly should we set ourselves for self-catering? Well, actually, oh, right. So Beige Boy, you see, he knows. He said, if you are going to use food trucks, you can get a good lunch for 20 Bayesian dollars. And I would agree with him. And sometimes, because I eat fish, sometimes when I go to some of the local restaurants, I would spend about 25 to 30. It's a massive piece of fish. I mean,
Mhm.
the meal you could actually have this for two people. So I would say, if you were to budget sort of like 30 Bayesian dollars for a good meal like that, that's more than enough.
Mhm.
What friends have done here, because I've had friends staying with me recently and they literally just left. I had to say, see you. But they've been with me for 2 weeks. But what they did was, for their breakfast, they would literally go to Jordan's or Eddie's, because we have Eddie's up here as well as Jordan's, and they
Mhm.
would get their breakfast. So they'd buy
Yeah.
eggs, plantain, things like that, to bread. Um, they go to the local bakery and get their bread from there, and so they'd have something that would be their breakfast more for the week,
Mhm.
right? Whether it's toast or whatever it is that they want to cook. Eggs are great. You can do a lot with egg, depending if you eat eggs, but omelets, and whatever it is that you want. um, and some people make themselves, because in some of the places, in these one-bedroom apartments, I would say, you might have a little cooker where you
Mhm.
can usually cook. So sometimes you'll have a cooker where you can, cook on the hob. Um, so you can make yourself something for your breakfast, most definitely. And some people even make juices, because sometimes in these apartments, you often, in the kitchen, there may be a
Yeah.
juicer. So these
Yeah.
are the kinds of things that you can ask about. Or you can go down and you can buy your fruit. Remember, depending on the season, you've got your papaya, you've got
Mhm.
oranges, um, mangoes. I think it might be mangoes at that time. So you can get those things. Your breakfast is sorted. Your lunch, and even for breakfast, you can, as I said, like I came from the beach this morning, and at 8:30, there's a lady there with her. As we come off the beach, she has a little white van, and in there she's selling food. She sells
Ah.
breakfast, she sells lunch. So people who are going in to work, they pass her and they stop, they buy their food. People who are coming off the beach, who've been on there from say 6 o'clock, they've been there for 2 hours, they come and get their breakfast. If I don't want to cook or can't be bothered to cook, I'll get my food, or I'm just tempted by the food. I'll get my food there. So you can get things. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Fish cakes are $1 each. Yes, if you go to some places, they'll try to sell you them at $6. But no, go to the local places and you will
Mhm.
get great prices, and you will, be very happy with the taste. And you're also supporting local people as well. So, you, so for me, you're probably going to spend more on your main meal. which
Yes.
would probably be, you could go into Fisherman's Pub. There'll be other places like Fisherman's Pubs in different areas. There will be local restaurants. We're not saying go to the really expensive restaurants. We're talking about going to restaurants, which again, we will suggest to you, which will give you the menu and you can see for yourself how much you want to spend. Now, if you go to those restaurants, remember there's always going to be a service charge.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you go to the rum bars, and the rum bars often do food as well, you don't get the surcharge. So you have to remember all those things. If you're going to go into the restaurants with the big menus and all, you will always pay the extra
Like
fees.
gratuity. Yeah.
Gratuities, there's like a tourism additional cost and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So you always have to bear that in mind. But when you go to places like the pubs or the rum bars, Fisherman's Pubs, and different, as I said, places like Brady's, and there's others as well, you will not. And these places that we've just been talking about on the East Coast, you won't be paying that. And also it'll be giving you an opportunity to try some of the local foods. And that's always a really good thing. And you won't be
love that I love that she's asking about the budget because I'm sorry, Jay, for interrupting.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, no, she's brought up a good point because I'm carrying cards, but cash is going to help me to be able to do some of what it's going to help me to budget. So I'll know exactly how much I'm spending. Because running a card, you can spend a whole lot more, but also the local vendors sometimes don't have the cash machines. And so I don't want to miss out on my breakfast off of the beach. I want to have some dollars, Bayesian dollars available, which it's my understanding that I can go to an ATM machine and get that when I get here. Or if you're in the US, I can only speak about the US. I'm sorry for those who are joining us from the UK, but you can order your Bayesian cash from your bank. Usually it's like 2 or 3 days. So you go in and then 2 or 3 days later, before the end of the week, they'll have your cash. They just deduct it from your account. And I think it's like for every 10 US dollars, it's 20 Bayesian dollars. I think that's what I saw somewhere around that, y'all.
Yeah, 2 to 1.
A 2 to 1.
Yeah, 2 to 1.
Ratio, so that you have an idea. But yeah, setting a budget, cash is a good way. It doesn't sound like we need to take out a whole lot of cash, but always having cash available because you'll need it
just
for the
case.
bus. Exact change for the bus. Exact change to buy food, or maybe even some of the souvenirs. And I think it's just a good way to have a backup, just in case your card. Please bring more than one card, because if one card doesn't work, you at least have some cash until you can find a different way to have some money with you. So, but I love the budget conversation. I'm a budget traveler.
Yeah. And I think that, as she said, Tamsin said she's probably going to use the food trucks for the food variety. And it's true because Beige Boy again, oh my goodness, he said, and it's true, on the South Coast, there's Worthing Square. It's fantastic. There's a couple of other places over there as well where they just have lots of food trucks, and they all sell different types of food. So you could get your Bayesian food, you can get Jamaican food, you could get Trini food. So there's lots of different foods that you can choose from. So that's why a lot of people like to go to those. And actually it's actually really lovely because obviously you're getting so many different people going there. The way they set it up, music, like kind of beautiful, it's all colourful, really colourful, lots of places to sit. People go there for a drink. They're really great places. So yes, again, these are things that we would just be saying, look, remember you've got Worthing Square. I know, where was the last? I went to one last week because to meet up with some friends, and that was it Savvy on the Bay? Went there, and that was a great place as well. Apparently, it's 24/7. So I'm like, wow, and that was set up on the beach, right on the beach, with lots of different places, so you can just go and choose which food you want to get. Freshly cooked food there. Yeah. These are the places that's really good prices, great music, fantastic atmosphere. Imagine going there when the sun's setting. It's just beautiful. So
you talked about the sunset. We haven't even Avery, you have no idea, but what sold me is Jay has talked about the catamarans at sunset. And I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing that, because I don't know. I've been trying to debate back and forth if I want to. There are a couple of the catamarans that allow you to do some snorkeling.
Yes, they do.
Or dive, and so, but the idea of a sunset catamaran, just watching the sunset, great music, good food, good drinks, just lots of good experiences that you've pulled together. Yeah. So,
Dee, honestly, you could just, in fact, I filmed this and I'm going to share it at another point in the little Facebook group that I have. Just one day, because my neighbour, she's just come from the UK because she comes and goes. And so we went to pick up a few items from a local store to get some food. And whilst we was in the store, we was in Eddie's, all of a sudden we saw this orange. We thought, what's all this? It was just like glow. The whole of the shop was sort of glowing in orange. And we looked out and it was the sunset. A few days ago, if you were in Barbados, you will remember that night. And it was the most orange sunset ever. And it was, I mean, we do get it a lot at certain times. I've seen it in December time, but we hadn't had it for a long time. It was the most spectacular sunset. And it just went on and on and on. So we came out and we walked down, which was literally no more than 3 or 4 minutes to the beach. And we just sat there in awe of it all and just sat there and just watched it. And that's what so many people were doing. It's just so beautiful. The serenity of just having that time and just being completely in awe of the beauty that is around you. The sea, honestly, it is just absolutely beautiful. So yes, we want to make sure you have those opportunities to explore the beauty of the island, and these are free. It's for free. You're not paying for it, you know. So yes, now this is a fantastic thing that Beige Boy has just said, because I talked about St. Philip before. So let's just say, because I have said that to you before, there could be different reasons why you're coming on this trip. Some of you could be coming on the trip because you just want to get a feel for Barbados. Maybe it's a place that you might want to come regularly, maybe once a year for a few months. Could be a vacation place that you'd like to then maybe bring your family. Or it could be because you are seriously thinking about Barbados as a place to eventually relocate to. And in which case you want to scout out the areas in Barbados and you want to use some of your time to do that. And as Beige Boy said, St. Philip is definitely, you must go to St. Philip. And in fact, a little insight, I'm working on a video now with the real estate agent that you remember, if you watched the video that I did with the real estate agent, Judy, and also with the legal specialist, Gail. Well, with Judy, that's one of the things that we're working on now. So we're going to do a series on looking at properties. So this is something that will be really exciting for, I know, for a lot of the people in on the channel who are following me, and it's to give people more of an insight to what's available. And the first place we're going to be going is to look at a property in St. Philip. And so I will be videoing that in the next week or so, but it will probably take a couple of weeks before it comes through to you. So yeah, St. Philip definitely has, and St. Philip's is stunning.
Mm-hmm.
It's stunning as well. And like you're saying, the land and the home prices are much cheaper, and it's only 15 minutes drive to the south coast, which again is closer to the airport. And that was another reason why we said
Mm-hmm.
good to end the trip on the south coast, because it will be easier for you to then also get back to the airport, because the ride won't be as long.
Right.
When you come, if you are going to be staying in Speightstown, it will be a long ride, about probably 15 minutes ride, depending on the traffic, to Speightstown. And it's mainly because of the traffic, because there's a lot of traffic. But going back, if you're on the south side, it won't take you as long to get back, and therefore it will be the price, the cost of the taxi will be less, a lot less. So yeah, so thanks ever so much for that. Yeah, now another nice place Beige Boy is saying is this old our house, and I want to. That's somewhere I haven't been, but my family who are over in St. Philip, they're always telling me about that. So that's going to be another trip. Andy, I am checking out some ITOL places as well for you, because I know that's what you're interested in as well. So yeah, I'm so excited. Let me just put this here. Oh, is it F3? Y'all making me want to go to experience all this. I'm just imagining the pictures of what is being described. Let me tell you, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, the colors. That's what will strike you. Yeah, the light and the colors. Yeah. The best time for me is around the 4:30 time, when the heat is beginning to reduce, the sun is beginning to drop. Yeah, and then you just that into that kind of sunset time. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, really is. So yeah, it's so guys, I'm
Yes,
so
the
much
food.
I've forgotten the time. 1 hour 26. Oh my gosh. Right. We didn't expect to be on for so long. But yes, so the main things, just want to make sure that I've spoken about the accommodation is, as I've said to you, just make sure you use the filter button. Think about your expectations. For $60, $70, it's not going to be luxury. The main thing you're looking for is something that is going to be clean, in a safe environment, close to the shops, has AC, has somewhere where you can put your food, has somewhere where you can cook. That's what you're looking for, because you're not really going to be spending lots of time watching a TV, or you're going to be out and about doing things. But generally, there probably will be a TV. But what I'm saying is, think about the time that you're going to be there. The days are going to go pretty quickly. Because we were going to be doing so many exciting things. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. Yes. So yes, I think we've covered everything, Dee. What do you think?
100%. I'm so honored to do this project with you, and to share my excitement. Like, I have somewhere to share my excitement. I told Jay, I said, I have fought inside myself not to pack. Like, it's still too early to pack. I never pack early. This trip, I want to pack, and we're 5 weeks out. So I'm hoping that people will take advantage of the gift that I asked Jay to consider. Please extend the early bird deadline. And she said yes. So did you want to talk a little bit about that while I turn this alarm off?
Yes. So we've extended the early bird discount, which is actually $100 US dollars discount for 1 more week. So I think you have until the 18th. If you go onto the website, let me put up the website so that you are all clear. It's the 18th of March. So it will just give you an opportunity to, start researching flights, looking at accommodation, and, because you want to make sure you can get all those things organized and then book. But we would encourage you, because we really feel that this will be a beneficial experience, a meeting of mind, of sisters. And already I can just tell from the people who've been interested and who've been asking questions, we all need this, And I know, because like many of you, spent many years working nonstop, always wanting to be, do our best, always working 150% better than many of our peers in our workplaces, and always putting everybody else first, family family, parents first, partners, husbands, children first. This is an opportunity for you to put yourself first. That's exactly what Dee is doing. This is what she is trying to encourage. She's doing exactly the same. Those of you who saw the very first live will know that Dee has a family. She has her children, grown children, but they still need support. And a husband, and they do everything together. He's in the background. But on this occasion, she's going to come out of her comfort zone, and she's chosen Barbados. And I think it will be the soft landing that many of you who maybe have not traveled alone or solo by yourself before will have, because I will be there, someone who's been there, someone who understands what it's like to come to a country and, really have to build your friendship groups. I've been very lucky, because I've had fantastic network of family in terms of my sister and my brother-in-law. But over the past 2-3 years, they've always encouraged me, in particular the last few years, when they realized that I was serious about coming. You need to get out and you need to make your own friends. And it was the best thing that I ever did, because I've met people who've encouraged me, and I'm finding myself doing things that I never used to do before. Like, I always used to love art, but never had time to do it. I always loved reading, never had time to do it. Once you start to meet other people who have these interests, they encourage you to open up and see that you have so much inside, that because often the times when we're working, we're very focused on using certain skills, that we stop utilizing those creative skills because we have to do this, and that. And that's what I found here. And that's why I've come to Barbados, someone who never swam, and now I'm swimming at the beach. Who would have thought that? So come with an open mind, come with and allow yourself the grace to, open yourself up to the elements and to the people that you will meet here. Because there's some beautiful sisters, we know that, because they're coming through Exodus Summit. And that in itself is something that has brought us together. And again, through Expat Barbados. And as you can see, I've got some fantastic subscribers, honestly, amazing subscribers in Expat Barbados. So to bring us together with the amazing subscribers on H&D abroad, it's a beautiful combination. Absolutely beautiful combination, and I can't wait. So there's the actual website, and we're looking forward to meeting you very, very soon. Any questions, please feel free to message us. I don't know, I'm trying to think, did I have the actual, I don't know whether I put on, but yeah, if you want to email me, it's contactexpatbarbados@gmail.com. If you want to contact me. But again, it's in the description. You will find all that information there. So I'm just going to give you some, people are saying, thank you very much, Dee.
Hi,
Oh,
Love and Grace.
yeah. Oh, that is so lovely. Late to the party. Bim is irresistible. Slower pace,
Oh,
peaceful. Yeah. But you know what? There's so many exciting things happening here. And just to mention the We Gathering, it's a
oh,
beautiful, beautiful experience that is going to
yeah.
put everything together. Barbados is encouraging us to come home, those of you who have that ancestry, but if you don't, they want you to come anyway to support um, Barbados,
Mhm.
as it moves forward in its independent state. So, you know, everybody is welcome here on the island. Everybody that comes really loves it. So I'm just so excited for you all. So yes, thank you. Everybody's saying thank you very much, Dee. It's been lovely having you here on this channel again. And just a last thing, if you do book, and we hope you will book, we know that you will book, we know people have already booked, then just so that you know, we will be having some private Zooms, which we will
Yes.
then go into a lot more information about what things to bring with you, what things you don't need to bring with you, and all kinds of informations to make sure that you are Barbados ready. Hashtag Barbados ready.
Yes.
That's what we're going to be. And yeah, so that you know exactly what you're bringing, that you know that you're coming with everything that you need. Yeah, so that we can just make sure that you have the best time ever. So there'll be Zooms and there will be some Facebook group. The Facebook group is ready to go, and that will give us an opportunity to communicate more, as well as a WhatsApp group. So
Mhm.
I think that's going to be a fantastic way for us to communicate. Okay, that's
We've
it,
got
really.
8. We've only got 8 slots left. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're gonna do it, just go
Yes.
ahead. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is intentionally built to be a small, intimate gathering.
Yes.
So that it gives you the space to get to know the people. My last Exodus Summit trip had 100 women involved. I'm just finding out 2 years later that people that I'm meeting now were on that trip 2 years ago. So this is just meant to be a smaller group so that we can travel together easily and really get to know
Yeah.
everyone that's involved.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that helps us to develop those deeper connections
Mhm.
as we are trying things out. This is my first solo international trip. If you have not done that by yourself, yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
we're doing the hard things together. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jay.
yeah. And I think that is important to just emphasize that. Yes, Dee, thank you. We have 8 places left because this is the whole purpose of this trip. We want to keep it small so that we really get to know each other, and also practically getting around, it will make it easier as well. So if you would like to get to know people in a small, intimate way, but still have the flexibility to go off and do things by yourself, this is a great combination. So,
Yeah.
guys, remember, try your best to get the early bird discount. It's worth it.
Yep.
It will definitely go up the day after. Yes.
Yeah. Love and Grace is asking, the meetup is April 22nd to April 29th. There's information on the expatbarbados.com/meetup about the dates, all the things that we'll be doing on
Yeah.
this trip. So it is meant to be a meetup with group things to do. We'll eat together. We'll experience some of the beautiful sites like the what do you call that? The botanical
Andromeda.
gardens and
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of time for you to make this the trip that nourishes and excites you and gives you opportunity to have time to dance, to hear music. There's a beautiful art scene. We haven't even had a chance to talk about that.
Yeah,
The
fantastic
art
art scene.
scene there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's when we're getting together, Love and Grace. We hope to meet you there.
Excellent. So I think that's it then. Thanks
That's
ever
it.
so much, Dee. This has been wonderful. I'm so excited. It's always lovely meeting you, and also great meeting up with all our lovely viewers and subscribers. And thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time out. And we look forward to welcoming you again soon on this channel. So I'm going to end the stream now. Goodbye, everybody. Efri says, thank you
Bye.
so much, ladies. Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.